But I broke my left collarbone, back, pelvis, tailbone, ribs, my colon ruptured, broke both of my hips, shattered my right femur, and had a compound fracture.
Well, Hilary, I'm Jenny Richardson. So I've been with Amen Clinic just since March, but I've been in psychiatry since 2007.
Cool.
So not new to the field. I actually came here just because I love their philosophy on care. I love that we look at so many different things and that we don't just prescribe meds. We actually give other resources to patients as well. We look at supplements, we look at lifestyle modifications, we look at therapy. The majority of our time together, I want to basically go over the results of your scans and your tests. And then I've already read your history, kind of pull it all together, and then just come up with kind of our next steps of treatment plan going from there. In regard to your history, let me see if there were a few things I wanted to clarify, but for the most part, I got, I think, a really good history. I saw as far as medical history, you've been type 1 diabetic since age 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're currently on an insulin pump for the last 2 years. Is that when you got on the pump?
Yes.
Has it made a big difference?
Yeah, I tried different pumps in the past, but I had a lot of issues, and it was like hitting scar tissue and everything. So my doctor took me off of it. But yes, the Omnipod 5s made a huge difference.
Awesome. Okay.
Because I was on a lot of shots.
Yeah, that can. So you've had to watch what you've eaten your entire life because of the diabetes too. And that can be a lot, especially at such a young age, like age 8, to find out that you have to do all this stuff that's different from everybody else. And, was that a struggle for you at all when you were younger? Just
I didn't want to do the shots myself. And so my parents did it for a couple of years. And then, I made myself do it.
Learn how to do it better.
Yeah. But I was scared of the needle and everything.
Yeah. And then the really big car accident was when you were 27, 2006. You had 33 surgeries from that. They said you basically died twice. I think I saw. So you even had like an experience, almost like a near-death experience, right?
I did. Yeah.
That's powerful.
I wrote a book about my experience too.
Okay.
It's called Sign of Life.
What is it called?
Sign of Life.
Okay. Now
it's out of print now, but it's on Audible, and there's some copies left on Amazon.
I have Audible, so I'll do that.
But my sister and I were driving to our grandfather's funeral on March 15th, 2006 in Louisiana, and I just glanced down for a second to change my iPod, and there were really deep ruts in the road. And when I did, it shifted the car and shifted my car in the gravel. And I jerked the wheel, overcompensated. My sister screamed really loud, and it freaked me out. And so I jerked the wheel, overcompensated. And then we did a 360 in the middle of the highway. They said one of the wheels came off. We slid across the highway, flipped in a field 4 times, and landed on our side. My sister was down below, and I was hanging in the air, and the seatbelt, kept me in and everything, but I couldn't breathe. And a truck driver stopped to help us, a physical therapist, and a preacher lady. And I told all of them, I was like, I can't breathe. Y'all got to push the car over. They said, it's too heavy. We can't. I was like, just try. And so they pushed it over, and I know that there were hidden angels there because the car came slowly to the ground. It didn't like slam or anything. The car was on top of my sister's arm, and it was just broken miraculously. Her head went through the sunroof a little bit, and if it had gone an inch further, she would have been brain dead. But I broke my left collarbone, back, pelvis, tailbone, ribs, my colon ruptured, broke both of my hips, shattered my right femur, and had a compound fracture.
And then you ended up, because I saw the surgeries went over at least like 3 years. You were having the surgeries.
It's 3 years. Also, it took 45 minutes for the life flight and the ambulance to get there. They said I shouldn't have lived over 30 minutes.
You lost 6 liters of blood, which is a ton of
Yes.
blood.
And I had Uggs on, and I have a compound fracture, and I had a hole in my leg. Like
Uh,
this bone broke in half and went out. So I feel like the Uggs kept everything intact. But if this had not taken, they were going to have to amputate from my knee down.
Wow.
And thankfully, the reverse skin flap took. But they told me a lot of my surgeries I was a guinea pig for.
Well,
And
it
I
sounds
was,
like they ended up well, so that's good.
yeah,
But
well, I
wow.
had plates in this leg and they ended up breaking in half, and I ended up just getting a hip replacement. But I was so badly broken, the metal kept shifting inside of my body. Mm.
I mean, how did that affect you? Obviously, physically, it was really debilitating, but how did that affect you emotionally when
Oh,
you
it
were
was
going through
hard.
all
I
that?
mean, the day our wreck happened, my attorney was in Los Angeles shopping for me a record deal. And I was just ready to like get back to my life, get back to singing,
Yeah.
and I at the time I didn't realize how bad my injuries were, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot worse than I thought." But I just try to stay positive. I had to relearn how to walk 3 different times. It was just hard because I'd be doing well, and then I'd have to get back in a wheelchair, back using a walker, then crutches, then a cane, and so that was mentally hard on me.
Yeah, for sure. So the first area that I'm going to concentrate on here for you is remember how when I was telling you with the normal one, you want to see the majority of the red and the white back in the cerebellum. So if I'm talking about the cerebellum area where we want to see the majority of the red and white, it's going to be this area back here. For the most part is where we see the majority of the red and white for you, which is great.
Awesome.
Okay. Another area though where we're seeing, as you can see, a lot of white is this area right here. And we refer to this as your deep limbic system. So it's important for me to say, number one, because sometimes we have people that have increased activity in this deep limbic system and we may not see any symptoms. It could be normal. There's some positives that go along with increased activity in these areas as well. So a lot of times people that have increased activity in the deep limbic system will be very emotionally sensitive.
I've always been like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so you'll see a lot of these people in like helping professions, right? Going into sound therapy, and I think for a lot of these people too, it can be um, if you are a highly sensitive person to the emotions around you, um, and you don't have solid boundaries in order to protect yourself, then you can be more prone to depression, anxiety, and a lot of things in that way. But I also want to point out another area because it could be pertinent to you. So, when I was looking at the severity ratings as far as increased activity, a lot of times they'll be able to tell us if it's either very mild, mild, moderate, or severe for increased or decreased activity.
Okay.
For the deep limbic system for you, it was severe increases in activity.
Okay.
That's pretty common for us to see, though.
Okay.
But again, I think that has to do with just you're a very emotionally sensitive, empathetic person, but also you've dealt with a lot of pain in your life, and you have struggled with depression in the past, although it's under good control right now.
Mm-hmm.
So another area to pay attention to, and it said there were mild increases in these areas, which for certain age ranges and females, I think to some degree this is within the normal range. But these two guys here, these are your basal ganglia. So you've got your right and left basal ganglia. Again, mild increases for you, but just wanted to mention it because symptomatically we could have some stuff here that could correlate. So your basal ganglia has different parts that have different functions. One of the parts called the caudate has a lot to do with setting your anxiety level and basically being able to set kind of your calm state. So one of the things that we show people here with anxiety and such is that when you're in a safe place and it's not a threatening environment, our brains, we like to kind of keep them calm like this. But then if you get into a more dangerous area, or say you have a history in childhood where you always had to be walking on eggshells, or you've had traumas, or you've had car wrecks, and then you're out driving, then your system kind of goes like this, right? And you think of
Mhm.
this as kind of the parasympathetic, and this would be more the sympathetic, right?
Mhm.
Fight or flight. Well, what happens over time is if people can have situations that put their brain in this state, it can be harder for the brain to come back down, or they can not, like PTSD and stuff, you can forget how to get your brain back down there. And so a lot of the stuff that you're doing, like the sound healing or um, neurofeedback, can help with this, or it's reteaching our brains how to go back to a calm state of mind. And a lot of that
Awesome.
has to do with like the basal ganglia system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so if we're looking at the surface scan, so again, you're mainly going to see decreases in activity is what I'm going to be able to show you here. Um, Honestly, I think I told you this before, but when I first read your history, and then when I saw your scan today, because I had your history before you did the scans,
Mhm.
I was like, wow, your brain actually looks way more healthy in regard to the blood flow and activity than I expected it to
Awesome.
with the stuff that you've been through.
Okay.
Um, so that was pretty impressive. I was excited to see that for you. But with your temporal lobes, there's some really important parts in your temporal lobes. And it has a lot to do with both mood and memory and a lot of processing things. Your temporal lobes have to do a lot with emotional regulation. So, like if people kind of go from 0 to 100 out of nowhere, and that could be with anger or anxiety or a number of things, just kind of the emotional reactivity that they have. It can be harder for them to control their emotional reactivity when there's problems with the temporal lobes. Um, so we can see like this is another area where some of the anxiety and fears and type of stuff can come from.
Okay.
There's an important part of your temporal lobes called the amygdala, and again, that can when you have issues there, it can come across as either anger or rage, but it can also come across as like anxiety, fears, dark thoughts.
Okay.
Um, there's part of your temporal lobes called the hippocampus that has a lot to do with memories.
Okay.
Symptomatically, you don't have a whole lot,
Oh, good.
which is great.
That's great.
Yeah. There's a supplement we have that is called Brain and Memory Power Boost,
Okay.
and has a lot of great ingredients that can help with blood flow, can help just to enhance cognition and memory. Let's see, L-theanine is another really good
Oh,
supplement.
yeah.
I don't know if you've got
I've
that in
taken
any of your
that.
mixes in here, but it's not sedating, and it can just put your brain more into like an alpha wave state.
Okay.
There's another supplement we have called Calm My Brain, which just has ashwagandha, but I'd want to make sure you weren't on too much ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, L-theanine, and magnesium. Let's see. I had also put down, we do have one called Happy Saffron Plus, which is one of our most popular supplements. I take it. It's well tolerated. It's a combination of saffron and curcumin, which is from the turmeric root, and zinc. So it helps a lot with just positive mood. It can help with depression, anxiety, can help with inflammation. Well, thank you so much for coming, Hilary. It's been really nice talking to you, and I hope this has been helpful for you. And like I said, if you think of any other questions, just feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to help you out with any of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been super fascinating. I love all this stuff.
Yeah. Again, you're already doing so many things right, and then we're just going to build on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.